Oh, hello. You're watching John Wild's YouTube channel, and I'm John Wild. I'm coming to you from the Red Room today. And this is going to be something a little bit different. This is a New Year's video. And I wanted to look upon the successes that the John Wild YouTube channel has had over the past year. And the accomplishment I'm most proud of is the Clothed the Naked Battlestar Galactica Ovian figure that I started, it was a little while ago. In bargain bins across the country and probably across the world, these Battlestar Galactica Ovian figures are found with no capes. And one day I was inspired while looking inside of my refrigerator at the bags that cuties come in. Those little oranges, you know what I'm talking about. And I looked at the bag and I thought, that would make a nice cape for my Ovian figure that I could find. So I made a cape, just kind of shoved his arms through and cut around it, and it turned out pretty nice. And since I started this campaign, over 1,500 naked Ovian figures have been clothed. And it's due to your support that this has happened, so I want to thank you for that. But moving on to the new year of 2018, I thought that we need a new challenge, something different to accomplish this year. And it made me think back to my childhood.
Well, going through my basement a couple days ago, I found my superpower figures from my childhood, and I was inspired because these figures had no capes. So I began searching eBay for replacement capes for my superpowers figures and saw that the originals were very, very expensive. But then I found the Cape Master, and taking a look at his eBay store, he had just lots and lots of offerings. And not only did he have superpower figures, he had Star Wars figures, Masters Universe figures, and custom stuff too. So I put in an order, and just a few short days later, my capes came.
So here we have my childhood superpower figures that I really haven't done much with them because they're played with condition. I really didn't want to add them to my collection. I know it kind of sounds bad, but so they've been in my basement for a number of years. And I let my son play with them every once in a while too. And I thought these are childhood survivors. I think Retro Blasting is the one that said that. And they really should be displayed as something that was given to me by friends and family when I was a child. And I've kept around all this time. So here's our before shot. And now let's take a look at what they look like after a do-over by the Cape Master. So here they are with their new capes on, and I have to say I am blown away. Truly, this is a special moment. My superpower figures from my childhood have capes again, and it's all due to the Cape Master. So as you can see, he does many of the superpowers variety, and we'll take a look at each one of these figures individually here and show off what quality craftsmanship the Cape Master has. Okay, so like the original vintage capes, it has a little neck clip that kind of just snaps around Superman's neck there, and the cape is cut very nice at the bottom. Nice clean cut. Plenty, it's a very full cape, goes around his shoulders very nicely. And I bought the version that has the Superman logo on the back. This is a sticker. It isn't silkscreen printed like the original vintage one, so it's pretty easy to see that this is a reproduction and not an original. So that was Superman's cape. All right, so here we have Batman, my battle damaged Batman. See, his cowl ears are kind of messed up. Again, has the collar, and the stitching is very, very nice on that. Excellent stitching, and snaps very nice, stays on nice and firmly onto your figure. Again, very full cape, and looking at the bottom of the cape, he's done an excellent job at reproducing the the edges on Batman's cape. So that was Batman's cape, and the color match is almost spot on to original vintage. So here we have the Robin figure, and he's got his cape on now. The color match is very, very close. The material feel is very close to what the vintage cape would have been. Again, it's stitched around a metal clip on the neck, and you can see the stitching is very, very nice. So there is Robin with his new cape. So Wonder Woman didn't have a cape, but what she did come with was a magic lasso, and the Cape Master has made a reproduction magic lasso for your Wonder Woman. And you know, I'm sure maybe you could find this if you drove around to a lot of different craft stores, but let me tell you that the cost for this particular piece was so minuscule that basically you were just better off to buy it from the Cape Master. So there's Wonder Woman with her magic lasso. So here we have Martian Manhunter with his cape, and again, it looks the color match is very good to the original vintage cape. It was definitely a color that was very close to the Batman figure. I'm going to fold down his top on there, and you can take a look at that excellent stitching job on the collar. Snaps tightly around his neck, and you know, you could display it either with the collar down or the collar up, depending on what your preference is. But this is a very nice, very full cape, and I couldn't be more happy with it. So there is Martian Manhunter's cape. So here we have Samurai, and Samurai's cape is well, it's more of a tunic than a cape. Again, it's put on with a couple of metal strips, but again, the color match is spot on to the vintage. Has nice, just like the vintage figure had, which is an orange clip that goes around the top of his waist. It's very excellent cape. Again, the stitching is top notch. Excellent stitching, and it makes your samurai figure look so much better when he has a top on. So let's take a look at these figures next to their original counterparts with capes. So I wanted to do a little bit of a comparison between a vintage cape and a Cape Master cape. So here we are. This is the Superman cape that the Cape Master made, and then this is the original. As you can see, obviously the original is missing his S logo, and the Cape Master has kindly provided a nice decal sticker. You can see, actually, I think the stitching on the Cape Master's cape is much better than the original. Now let's take a look at old Batman here. Again, so here's this is the Cape Master, and this is the original vintage. And you can see my childhood one is missing his ears. So here we'll take a look at the back of the cape. And the color match is pretty close. You know, I'd have to say, and believe it or not, again, the stitching on the Cape Masters is nicer than the original vintage. So there we go. Now finally, let's take a look at Mr. Robin here. Mr. Robin has this one over here is the Cape Master, and this is the original vintage. And taking a look at the two of these figures. Here we go. Again, Cape Master being a cleaner material because it's brand new, definitely isn't showing off the wearing. The color may be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little bit darker, but that could just purely be dirt. So there they are, the comparison between the original Kenner and the Cape Master. Okay, so there you have it. The Cape Master's capes versus the originals, and I guess I'll just take just a moment to say about reproduction versus original. Reproductions are fine as long as they're presented as reproductions, and that's what they are. People who try and pass off reproductions as original are cheaters and scams, and we all know they are in the toy community. But for me, in my collection, if I can save a little bit of money or a little bit of time by getting reproduction items, I don't mind so much. But again, you know, I have to be very clear that some of these things are reproduction. And because most of the superpower figures that are left on the secondary market mostly don't have capes, to truly enjoy a superpowers figure, it's nice to have a cape. So how can we go wrong by putting reproduction capes on these figures? And that's my 2 cents on that. And you can agree or disagree with that. That's totally your choice. But I'm really happy to have made this purchase from the Cape Master. And I think that my childhood superpower figures have never looked better. And superpower capes aren't the only offerings that the Cape Master has. The Cape Master does all sorts of different action figure capes. So if you have a Prince Adam and he's missing his vest and his belt, the Cape Master can help you with that. If you have a General Lando that's missing his cape, the Cape Master can help you with that one. And also, if you have a Power of the Force Endor Luke that's missing his battle poncho, Cape Master is there for you too. Boy, these vintage action figures look a heck of a lot better with capes, and I really appreciate the hard work and dedication that the Cape Master has put into putting such quality and such really nice work into his capes, and they're really spot on, and I have to give it to them. They're excellent capes. And if you're thinking about replacing your capes for your superpowers, for your Masters of the Universe figures, for Star Wars figures, and he also does custom capes too for really neat stuff, and I think you should really check it out. I'm going to leave the links below to his Instagram and to his eBay store so you can check out the stuff that he does. And I set a challenge to the Cape Master because there's one thing that he doesn't have for sale there, and it's something that I'd really need, and that is a dress for a Indiana Jones Marion figure. I don't have a dress for my Marion, and I was wondering if that was something that the Cape Master could help me out with. So again, Happy New Year, and thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you again in 2018.